Have you ever stopped and wondered what Islam really looked like in the very beginning? Not the Islam of endless arguments, long lists of halal and haram, and constant judgment, but the Islam that first shook Mecca to its core. What if I told you that the first Muslims did not begin their journey with detailed rule books and technical debates, but with something far more powerful, a transformation of the heart, the mind, and the character? Understanding this changes everything about how we see our religion today. When Islam first came to Mecca, it did not arrive as a long list of regulations. For 13 years, the Prophet taught a version of Islam that looked very different from what many people imagine. Today, there were no detailed laws about fasting and Ramadan, no instructions about zakat percentages, no rulings about inheritance, no step-by-step rules for Hajj, and no long chapters about divorce and business contracts. For more than a decade, the Quran focused mainly on one thing: building human beings from the inside out. The early message of Islam was not about controlling people's behavior, but about transforming their values. Two-thirds of the Quran was revealed in Mecca, and most of those verses were not legal instructions. They were about who Allah is, what it means to be accountable, what justice looks like, what mercy means, and how human beings should live with integrity. Islam was shaping people's conscience before shaping their actions. It was teaching them to think, to reflect, and to take responsibility for their moral choices. The foundation was being built before the structure was placed on top. One of the most powerful examples of this is Surah Ar-Rahman. This surah talks about Allah's blessings, the day of judgment, paradise, and hellfire. But when it comes to practical change, it gives one core command: establish justice and do not cheat in the scale. This is not just about weighing rice in a shop. This is about fairness in every part of life, in business, in family, in politics, in education, and in personal behavior. Every person listening had to look at their own life and ask, where am I being unjust? Islam was teaching people to correct themselves from within. This message of justice was so powerful that it terrified the Quraysh. They were not afraid of beards, clothing, or prayer positions. Everyone in Mecca already dressed similarly and spoke Arabic. What they feared was a system that challenged corruption, exploitation, and oppression. Islam was calling out dishonest trade, abuse of power, and social injustice. That is what shook Mecca. That is what threatened them. Elite Islam was not just a religion. It was a moral revolution. The first generation of Muslims became the closest people to Allah. Even though many rules were not yet revealed, they did not fast Ramadan, had not gone to Hajj, and alcohol was not yet prohibited. Yet Allah honored them because their hearts were built on truth, justice, sincerity, and accountability. Their foundation was strong, and because the foundation was strong, the structure that came later could stand firm. Later, in Medina, Allah revealed the detailed laws about worship, family, finance, and society. The rules came after the principles. This order is critical. Islam did not begin with law. It began with meaning. The Quran built character first, then built legislation on top of it. Without that foundation, rules become empty rituals and dry technicalities. This is where many Muslims today fall into two extremes. One group becomes obsessed with rules. They can debate endlessly about the length of the beard, the height of the pants, and fine legal details. Yet their behavior may lack honesty, humility, and mercy. The other group reacts by saying Islam is only about values and rules do not matter. They talk about kindness and justice but ignore prayer, fasting, and obedience. Both sides miss the point. Islam is not rules without principles, and it is not principles without rules. It is both. Principles are the foundation, and rules are the building. A foundation without a building is useless, and a building without a foundation will collapse. If you focus only on rules, you may become rigid, harsh, and disconnected from the spirit of Islam. If you focus only on principles, you may lose discipline, structure, and commitment. The Quran gave us a complete system: heart first, then action. This balance is especially important when dealing with young people and new Muslims. Many are overwhelmed by rules and feel that Islam is nothing but restrictions. They struggle to connect because they were never given the foundation. Even Aisha Ra said that if the first command had been do not drink alcohol, people would have rejected Islam. The Quran first built love of Allah, awareness of the hereafter, and a sense of purpose. Once people believed deeply, following the rules became natural. This is why the Prophet, in his final sermon, told people to convey even one ayah. Many in that crowd were new Muslims. They did not have years of training, yet they were told to share what they knew. Why? Because every ayah carries principles. Principles spread easily and take root in hearts. Rules require preparation and maturity. The message was starting its cycle again. Principles first, rules later. Today, we desperately need to return to this balance. Some Muslims have turned Islam into a checklist, while others have turned it into a vague philosophy. The Quran calls us back to the foundation. Strengthen justice, honesty, mercy, responsibility, and humility, and then build worship and law on top of that. When the foundation is strong, obedience becomes meaningful, not forced. If we want the next generation to love Islam, we must introduce them to its heart before its law. We must show them the beauty of its principles before overwhelming them with its rules. When they understand why Islam stands for justice, dignity, and purpose, the rules will no longer feel like chains. They will feel like guidance. This is the Islam that changed the world, not through fear, but through transformation, not through control, but through conviction. It began by building human beings, and only then did it build a society. If we want Islam to be alive again in our lives, we must return to its original method, fix the heart, then fix the actions. Only then will the religion stand strong, just as it did in the beginning.